They called it Ta-Nejer, the land of the gods. For 1,000 years, Egypt sailed south and east to trade with Punt for incense, gold, ebony, ivory, and living myrrh trees. An entire expedition is carved in stone at Deir el-Bahari, cargo, crew, and a foreign shore. And yet, no one can say with certainty where Punt was. Somalia, Eritrea, Yemen, Sudan, or somewhere else entirely. This is a micro-history of a place half remembered and never quite found. We follow the earliest mentions, the grand voyage of Hatshepsut, the debate over Punt's location, and its quiet disappearance from the record. Calm, mysterious, factual. No myths, only what the stones and shores can still tell us. We begin where Egypt first wrote the name Punt, and ask why, across 3,000 years, the land of the gods remains a map without edges. The earliest Egyptian references to Punt appear in the Old Kingdom, under kings like Sahur of the 5th dynasty. His reliefs speak of incense, ebony, and myrrh, items strongly linked to the Red Sea and Horn of Africa trade. Ivory and ebony suggest African sources. The resinous incense points to incense trees, Boswellia and Commiphora, growing along the Red Sea coast. Egypt prized these resins for perfumes and ritual smoke in temple courts. To reach Punt, Egyptians likely used the Red Sea, a corridor to lands described as lush in incense and rich in gold. Desert tracks like Wadi Hammamat connected the Nile to Red Sea ports, where crews outfitted seagoing vessels. Caravans hauled timbers, water, and rope to build and launch ships on the eastern shore. Texts from the Middle Kingdom revive seaborne contact, implying organized voyages under royal oversight. Shipwrights assembled planked hulls with mortise and tenon joints, then lashed them tight for the open water. From these shores, mariners caught the seasonal winds to a coast they knew as Punt. Ebony and ivory fed Egypt's luxury workshops. Gold traveled north from mines inland of the Red Sea coast. Incense burned in temples, carrying prayer on aromatic smoke. Exotic animals appear in reliefs, baboons, perhaps even giraffes, as diplomatic gifts. These goods signaled not only wealth, but sacred connection. By the New Kingdom, royal expeditions to Punt were state projects, timed and staffed like campaigns. Tallies and crew registers survive in stone, a ledger carved for eternity. The destination remained consistent, a coastal zone with access to upland incense groves. Houses on stilts appear in the imagery, a detail that will matter later. All of this sets the stage for the most famous voyage of all. We turn to Deir el-Bahari, where Queen Hatshepsut had the journey carved scene by scene. Here, around 1470 BC, the expedition to Punt unfolds in images that remain our richest window into the land of the gods. The Deir el-Bahari reliefs show ships prepared, sails rigged, oars stowed, timbers lashed. Square sails catch reliable seasonal winds along the Red Sea. Egyptian crews hug the shore, navigating by landmarks and stars. Steering oars kept long, shallow-draft hulls steady on coastal swells. Landfall appears as a serrated coast with inlets and low mangroves. The reliefs depict houses raised on stilts, reached by ladders above tidal flats. This architecture fits a humid shore prone to flooding and tidal change. Waterways threaded the settlement, a place of boats, reeds, and resin-laden trees nearby. Hatshepsut's artists show a diplomatic audience with Punt's rulers. The queen is carved with a distinctive body shape, a detail scholars have studied for clues to health and identity. Gifts are exchanged: gold, ebony, ivory, and heaps of incense. Captions name Punt outright and list the cargo taken on board. Most striking, the Egyptians dig up living myrrh trees, roots bundled for transport. These incense trees, Commiphora and Boswellia, thrive on arid slopes near the sea. The reliefs even show the loading, trunks slung and hoisted aboard. Back in Egypt, the queen planted them in temple gardens to harvest sacred resin. Baboons appear among the live cargo destined for temple rituals. Ropes, harness points, and cargo slings are carved with care. Flora includes palms and incense thickets, fitting a semi-arid coast with greener patches. The setting reads like a Red Sea littoral: sea breeze, salt flats, and inland hills. Beyond spectacle, the scenes are a dossier on Puntite society and goods. Read closely, they tell us how people lived, what they valued, and how Egypt organized long-distance trade. Stilt houses imply tidal flats and seasonal flooding at the settlement edge. Such settings occur along the southern Red Sea coast and Gulf of Aden. Materials match local palms and reeds, light frames, woven roofs. Incense dominates. Baskets of resin appear repeatedly in the scenes. Ebony is shown as dark, heavy timber, dense wood from African forests. Gold is rendered as rings and bars, the language of tribute and trade. Baboons may have symbolized exotic wisdom and solar cult ties in Egyptian thought. Dress and grooming differ from Egyptians. Beards, curved blades, patterned kilts. Beads and shells hint at coastal exchange networks. Weighing scenes imply standardized measures and officials recording quantities. Units are named, evidence of bureaucratic oversight in trade. Vessels are stoutly lashed, a technique to handle Red Sea stresses. Water stores and amphorae are visible, endurance planning for the voyage. The return voyage sails north with following winds along the same littoral. In Thebes, incense burns to welcome the cargo and the success of the queen's command. Despite the detail, the reliefs never add a map. Modern scholars weigh texts, flora, fauna, winds, and archaeology to place Punt on the earth we know. One strong case places Punt along today's Eritrean and Somali coasts. Here, frankincense and myrrh grow on arid escarpments near the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. Boswellia resin, frankincense, matches the aromatic cargo recorded in Egypt. Stilt house architecture still appears in tidal zones of the region. Relief flora, palms, acacia, incense trees, align with the Horn's coastal ecology. Baboons are native here and feature in Punt cargo scenes. Dense hardwood timbers could move by caravan from inland zones to coastal ports. For millennia, small harbors dotted this coast, natural staging points for trade. Seasonal winds would have carried Egyptian square sails south, then back north. Voyage lengths implied by water stores match Red Sea legs of weeks, not months. Coastal wayfinding by headlands fits a route along Eritrea and northern Somalia. Possible anchorages exist along the Dahlak and Zayla regions. Basket types echo the relief's rounded resin containers. Gold from inland could flow coastward via caravan to exchange with Egyptian crews. Other scholars argue for Sudanese coasts or even across the water in Arabia. We turn to the competing evidence and what each hypothesis explains and what it does not. A Sudanese coast location places Punt nearer to Egyptian ports and desert roads. Shorter routes would ease logistics for timber, water, and crews. Critics note that resin-yielding trees are rarer on these northern coasts. The stilt house imagery also fits poorly with drier, steeper shorelines. Across the water, southern Arabia was a historic hub for frankincense. Tree species match and incense kingdoms later flourished here. But animals like baboons point more strongly to African sourcing. A crossing is feasible, yet the reliefs favor an African coast reached by coasting rather than open water leaps. A compromise view sees Punt as a trading network. African ports shipping incense and hardwoods linked to Arabian partners. The measured tallies fit a hub where multiple sources converged. Seasonal winds could connect coasts efficiently, binding harbors into a single market. Gaps in the reliefs mean we lack toponyms precise enough for coordinates. We have names, goods, and scenes, but not distances or bearings. Neutral coasts like this are our stand-in when the text is silent. If contact was so rich, Why does Punt vanish from later records? We look to shifting winds in politics and climate, to new routes and new powers, and to the simple erosion of stone and memory. By the late New Kingdom, Egypt's attention shifted west and north. Conflicts and trade along the Levant drew resources away from Red Sea voyages. Bureaucratic records thin out for the Red Sea expeditions. Periods of aridity may have reduced resin yields and caravan traffic. Alternative routes through Arabia could divert incense flows. Local harbors silt up, storms shift channels, and ports are abandoned. Later builders reused blocks, erasing inscriptions that once named Punt. Where names remain, context is lost. Trade paths dim, and a once familiar shore becomes a rumor. Yet the trees endure in stone, Egypt planting the scent of Punt at Thebes. Each wisp remembers a shoreline thick with aromatic bark. And the sea still lies between highlands and desert, as it did for Hatshepsut's cruise. The land of the gods remains unpinned on our maps, but not forgotten. A new lost world every week.